Good morning, everybody. This is Alice, Bejeweled Hedgehog, here to do a quick tea and book review. Well, as quick as I ever get. It's 9 o'clock. I just got up maybe half an hour ago, and it's sunny. Anyway, let's see. Turn on the camera, turn off the brain. Okay. I am going to start with reviewing some of my lovely teas from Argentina. The one that I had last night was this one, and the brand is Chamana, and it contains rooibos. Let's see, here's in English, it's easier. Rooibos, cinnamon, ginger, plum, fig, and honey. And it is fantastic. You can't really smell it very well. You can't smell it at all. But it's in these little bags that keep it fresh. It's all individually wrapped. And there's a very, very faint scent of this. And I'm going to start doing a tea smash book, I think, with all the labels and things from teas that I like. So, that idea just came to me right now. But anyway, so here they are, all individually wrapped. This tea is awesome. The rooibos tea is what's called red tea, and it's basically an herb that has no caffeine in it whatsoever. So even though this says energy, it's probably because of the cinnamon and the ginger. But you can drink it at night because there's absolutely nothing in it that would keep you awake, which is exactly what I did. I had this before bed last night, and this is awesome. This is one of the best teas I have ever had in my life. And really, I think it's not that hard to find teas with cinnamon and ginger in them. That's a fairly common, well, that's in most chai teas. But what is amazing about this is the plum, fig, and honey. I don't think I have ever had a tea with fig in it before. And the honey flavor comes through very clearly. This is just amazing. I love it. So thank you, Bruno. This is a fabulous, fabulous tea. I really, really like it. I do not know if you can get it. I know they have all kinds of companies. If you go on the internet, you might be able to find a tea company in the United States, that would sell it. I have not looked because I have 15 freshly sealed bags to work my way through. So that was last night's tea. And then this morning's tea, which I am drinking right now, is awesome. Let me show you my fabulous, it's a loose tea. I will show you my fabulous little thing. This is the cup. It's a really thick glass. And this, sorry, it's in a bowl so it doesn't, ooze. This is the insert. And basically what you do is you drop your loose tea down in there. You put it down into the cup, pour the water in it, and let it steep for however long you like, and then you pull it back out. And I'm going to try and make a second bag with a second cup with this morning because it still has a fairly good smell. So I think it's still got some potency. And there's a lid also. If you're making an herbal tea and you want to steep it for, more than just a couple of minutes, you can put the lid down over it and it keeps the steam in and everything. So that's my marvelous cup. I also have a teapot that does the same thing if you want to make tea for more than one person. When it's steeped to the amount that you want, you just take it out. Or if you want more than one cup made at a time. So anyway, this is the Black Cat tea. It is a loose tea. Now it's 50% black tea, so it does have caffeine, but only half of it is black tea. The rest of it is cocoa. It looks like cocoa shells or something, cocoa, I think they're shells or they're pieces, big chunks of it, not ground like you would get with cocoa powder. So these are the actual pieces of cocoa, and then there is orange peel in here, dried orange peel. The scent is just beyond belief. I love that little cat. absolutely adore that little cat. And this is the canister it came in. And just love the canister. The canister has the beautiful, beautiful smell of the tea. So, this is an awesome tea. Now, it's black tea, so for me, it's a morning tea. Once noon comes, there will not be any more of this tea consumed. But hopefully by noon I'll be out and about doing the stuff that I need to get done today. So, anyhow, that is, again, one of the most amazing teas I have ever had in my life. I have never had cocoa in tea before. So, it's, it not only, it's just, I kept thinking, what does it remind me of? I like to have chocolate oranges at Christmas. I adore chocolate oranges. They make milk chocolate and dark chocolate, and I don't know what company makes them. They're round balls, and they're sliced into segments, but what you do when you get them is you whack them on a hard surface to make all the segments, pop apart. Then you unwrap it. You can eat it one segment at a time, just like a real orange. And that's what this reminds me of, a chocolate orange. Okay. The other thing I wanted to do was a book review, because I have one of the books is a library book that's going to go back. And if I maybe I shouldn't make morning videos. Oh, anyway, once the book is at the library, it's going to be out of sight, out of mind, and I will forget to do the review. But anyway, I'll start with the top of the little stack I have here. I said in my vlog last night I have been really fighting depression, and one way I do that is to just go away mentally. And I do that by going into a book, because while I'm in the book, I'm in there, and I'm not in me, and it's very helpful. So the first book that I read, this is actually an owned book. This is not a library book. The author is A. Lee Martinez. It's called A Nameless Witch, and it is fantasy, but it is silly fantasy. That is one of my very favorite kinds. I mean, yes, I love epics like Lord of the Rings, but let me read you the back of this. Being born undead can have its disadvantages, such as eternal youth and flawless beauty, things most unsuitable for a witch. Hiding behind the guise of a grimy old crone, the witch is content living outside Fort Stalwart with her unlikely band of allies, a troll, an enchanted broom, and a demonic duck. She leads a simple life filled with spells, potions, and the occasional curse. So, when a white knight arrives at Fort Stalwart, the witch knows her days of peace are at an end, and soon the witch and the knight must reluctantly combine forces on a perilous quest to stop a mad sorcerer from destroying the world, filled with menace, monsters, and magic. And I have read a lot of his other books. One of his other books is called Gil's All-Fright Diner. He takes, the fantasy, science fiction, and horror genres and writes good novels. They're good and they're very interesting, but they're funny. So that's what I really like about these. This is like my second or third read of this, just because it's light and silly, and every year or so I get in a mood where I want light and silly. And the subtitle of this is A Tale of Vengeance, True Love, and Cannibalism. And I know on our YouTubers book club list we have something by Christopher Moore. It's one I actually haven't read yet. But I love Christopher Moore. He writes books about an area in California, and they're the two authors are kind of very similar in tone. And anyhow, both very funny, very silly. This one, okay, it's called Pharaoh, and the author is Valerio Massimo Manfredi. Okay. He is actually a professor. The author is a professor of archaeology in Italy. And he's written, historic novels about Alexander the Great, and he also has written some what I consider, beach reading, or bathtub reading. You fill up a tub with bubbles and you soak and read a novel that's just fun, fast-moving, and it's like mind candy. And this is, one of these things where it says, shows Dan Brown how it should be done. I mean, obviously, it's one of these things set in the present, complete with villains and political intrigue, and then it flashes back to the past, and it has a controversial archaeological find. So it's light, it's fun, it's exciting. It's like watching a TV show. And I enjoyed it. It got me, out of myself, definitely. Another book that got me out of myself, I love this author. Her name is Sarah Rain. This is Property of a Lady. And I got this used on Amazon. I'm not sure if it's in print yet or not. Anyway, I don't know, but I got it used. It says a house with a sinister past and a grisly power. It is a classic ghost story, with spookiness. I love spookiness. It's not gore, not limbs being ripped apart, but creepy spookiness. And of course a mystery. Who is doing the haunting and why? Now, I mean, she wraps it up all too neatly, I think. I think that there's just, series of coincidences, and, it's not, I don't know, they're a little too incredible for me. But the point of this is not to be credible. I mean, I'm not supposed to walk away genuinely believing that this was a true story. This was a good, creepy, scary, classic ghost story, and I love those to pieces, and they're so hard to find. Now, this author, Sarah Rain, has written a whole bunch of other books, which are, they tend to center around old buildings. Let me see if they list any of her other books' titles in here. Tower of Silence, Dark Dividing, Roots of Evil, Spiderlight, Death Chamber, Ghost Song, House of the Lost, What Lies Beneath. But What Lies Beneath doesn't really, I think there was a movie that sounded similar to that, but anyway, it has nothing to do with the movie. And those are all the spooky suspense that have only a touch of the supernatural to them. But they're good. I've read all her books. And with this particular book, she's starting going off on a whole series involving two of the main characters in here, which will now be out-and-out ghost books. So it's wonderful. It will just take you right out of yourself. Light, frothy, very fast reading. This is the library book that is going back. It's called The Lantern, and the author is Deborah Lawrenson. I'll put it up. I mean, if anybody's interested, you can just, pause it and jot this down. The Lantern, a novel. Deborah Lawrenson. This is at my library, so I'm hoping it will be in most libraries. And this was a great book. It is compared to Rebecca, and it is similar to Rebecca in that it has a young, naive main character who has fallen in love with a older, not old, but, like 10 or 15 years older than her, and she's in her 20s, mysterious man with a secret in his past. And he broods, and he becomes uncommunicative, and it's just a perfect setting. They are in a old villa in Tuscany. I mean, it's just everything about it is beautiful. Now, her writing is gorgeous. Her writing is very, very good, and it doesn't have the neat, pat little coincidences, and it leaves you, wondering. It kind of wraps up the ending, but you're never really sure. Maybe there was a little something. Anyhow, it's just a very, very good book. The character is entirely believable. She does a very good job of, a lot of times I'll read books and I'll say, why don't you just go home and that will end the whole thing. But she does a very good job of describing the main female character, who is very likable, and making you understand why she's staying there and why she's kind of suspending disbelief, and putting up with a man who you kind of wonder, sometimes mysterious and can be broody and uncommunicative and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this is very well done, and I highly recommend it. This is one I am currently reading. It's called Among Others, and it is so, so cool. It is about a young girl. I think it's going to get, I'm only on page 94. It's written in the form of journal entries, and she can see fairies, and at this point, she has a twin sister who seems to have died, and she believes that her mother is an evil sorceress who has killed her. And I really do not know which way this is going to go. I mean, is this going to go into the realm of the fairies are real and the mother's sorcery is real? Or is this going to go into the realm of the extremely elaborate imagination of a young teenage girl with a troubled family? But the really cool thing about this book is she reads a lot of science fiction. And so just as you read along, she is always bringing up titles and authors and describing what she thinks of the book. So of course I have a huge to read list made just off of this one book. So anyhow, that is I guess it's not so short. I am not very good at short. But did I give you the author? I know I said it was Among Others, but here is the author, Joe, J-O, Walton. So if anybody is interested, there it is. And hopefully we'll get our own book club up and running soon. So anyway, everybody have a great Sunday. At least where I am, it is absolutely beautiful. Okay, bye.